Everyone, I'm Xiangan. I'll be here essentially guiding you through a little bit on essentially all you need to know about deploying your dApps on Polygon. I believe that slightly earlier today, you kind of got to know a little bit about like what Polygon is and what you want to do with Polygon, or what you can do with Polygon from Siraj. But I'm here to kind of do more of a, I guess, a technical guide for development. So let's get it started. I'm going to just share my screen really quickly. And there's not going to be any audio. I'm just going to be talking through this. And so, yeah. What's kind of like some of the first steps, right? I think some of the first and most important steps are actually kind of just setting up your environment, right? I know that, and actually, you know what, while I'm on this page, I'm just going to link this in the chat. I don't think this is like supposed to be like publicly released yet. I think release date is actually tomorrow. So if you check this out right now, it's slightly outdated. But this is like kind of like a good resource just in case if you're totally new to like Web3 development and like Solidity coding, and because I mean that's what we're gonna be basing everything off of. So to essentially do anything on Polygon is super simple. And let me just show you right here. So you first of all, you need to go to a few things. So if you're gonna go just deploy on testnet, you're gonna just need to head to the faucets real quick and grab yourself some test tokens. So what you do here, and obviously everyone here is MetaMask. You use MetaMask to like register for the event. We're just gonna head to MetaMask here, and we're gonna just log in, and I'm going to copy my account address and then paste it in here. And within approximately not even 1 or 2 minutes, just like 10 to 20 seconds, this thing will give me some Mumbai tokens. If you're using Chainlink and any data oracles related to that, you should definitely also fetch some Mumbai link, which is necessary for if you want to use and kind of consume Oracle data and kind of use their services. So now you have that. And now that you have this, if you want to deploy on mainnet, before I get to like some more of the nitty gritty code base itself, I think you should go to wallet.polygon.technology and just make sure that you have like everything, or that you have like funds bridged to Polygon. There is a really simple way to like kind of on ramp onto Polygon. I'm not sure if like Siraj talked about this like last session. So I'll just kind of breeze through this, and I mean this is really simple anyways. But so you just kind of hop onto wallet.polygon.technology. I'll even link it in the chat if you want to deploy on mainnet. If you're looking for the faucet, just search Polygon faucet or Matic faucet. I'm sure you'll find it. Something went wrong. Oh gosh. But what you would do is you would connect. It would essentially ask you to do a quick signature, which would essentially help log you in. After which you would that's interesting. So after which you would essentially use a third-party on-ramp service. I think that's like the most convenient, like something trusted like Dharma, right? Dharma or Wire, I think is another one. Yeah, Wire, something like that, to get some Polygon tokens. I'm not going to spend way too much time on this because I have some cooler things to show you guys. But this is the third thing that you need. Just make sure that you can actually see everything that you're deploying. This is essentially like Etherscan, but it's Polygon scan. As you can see, our daily network transactions are booming, which is great. But here you can just search any transaction hash or any contracts hash you've kind of like, that you've, or the contract address that you've deployed, and then it will show information for you regarding that contract. So everything that I'm going to be doing from now until the end of the workshop will be based from Polygon Academy, the GitHub organization, which I actively maintain, and it's full of like production ready like dApps that you can, or not production ready per se, but just really kind of quick, like skip the boilerplate code, but still does kind of specific things, starter kits that you can boot up, test out, play with, and yeah. Yeah, I'll just kind of dive into some of the really simple, or one really simple one, just to show you the real basics to deploying anything on Polygon. So these are completed dApps, but they're not like complete as in they still have a lot of things yet to be implemented, and they are still very open for a lot of things for you to implement. So right here we have just like a really basic ERC 721 like NFT contract, right? You can do if you want other similar contracts or other like similar token contracts, you can do like one that's governance. If you want to also just mint your own like ERC20 token, you can all do so via these things called like the open Zeppelin contracts. Essentially what you do is after you declare your Solidity version, you import them into your contract. And what importing them does is kind of like you import like a library from any other coding language. You can now do this little thing where you declare your contract, but then you put this is keyword, which essentially helps you do this thing called an inheritance. If you're a seasoned Web 2 engineer, you probably know that inheritance is just means that you can now use all the functions that are already defined in this contract on this contract, on your new NFT contract or whatever contract you want to make. So this is inheriting the ERC 721 standard and the ownable contract, both of which I'll kind of also explain what these do down here. So first of all, just to kind of get the basic stuff out of the way, we're using what we're setting up here is a token counter variable that is linked to each token ID. So for every counter value that we have, every single mint item call or mint item function call will essentially increment each token ID by 1. And that 1 will be stored in, essentially we're using this counters.counter for like the token counter, right? Like, so essentially what that means is just your token IDs go by like 1, 2, 3, 4, like every single time you mint your NFT. And here we see essentially the first, I guess, like calling of our ERC 721 contracts. And what this does is this essentially just initializes your NFT. So this it takes in 2 parameters, your NFT name and also your NFT ticker. So if you want like an abbreviation for your NFT, you can have that. And what we're doing here is we'll be uploading these NFTs to IPFS, and then having them on chain as well. So the base URI for where all the JPEGs are going to get stored is IPFS, and we also just have a really quick function called mint item, which takes in a address 2 and it stores in temporary memory this token URI. So for each essentially each contract instance that you boot up, this token URI is just temporarily stored on memory, not permanently stored on chain. Which is, I mean, like, you can obviously change this if you want to. If you write this to chain, it's going to be a lot more expensive. But this is really basic. There's also this other contract here called ERC 721A that got made recently that was essentially a cheaper way to oh man, that's unfortunate. Essentially a cheaper way to mint NFTs. What this does is it essentially saves you a lot of gas, and it saves you a lot of minting fees if you want to mint on mainnet. Or I mean, you can essentially clone this also on like Polygon, because everything in mainnet you can effectively deploy on Polygon. What this does essentially, it just sets only an owner once, and then for every single other batch minted NFT afterwards, you would essentially go search back one if there is no owner set. So essentially, it's just like imagine like if you were like buy tickets for like a lottery and you bought like what tickets 100 to tickets 110, right? You would only identify ticket 100 as belonging to you, but all those other tickets that you've purchased are connected essentially to that ticket 100. So you can essentially tell that all those others are yours. And then if let's say there's like a change in ownership, you only bought tickets 1 to 100, and then there's tickets 101 to infinity, right? You can have another guy, Bob, own that starting ticket plus however many they want. So it's just really simple kind of variation on how to do this, and this is totally customizable to your own demands. And then what this also does is just it's essentially it just has this, it calls this a mint method, which also we also got that from ERC 721, and it also sets the token URI, and obviously mint takes in a address too and the NFT ID. And when we set our token URI, we set the token URI for each ID. And cool. And oh, sorry, I also forgot. This only owner modification just says that only the owner of this contract can mint NFTs, which the owner of this contract will be a kind of this burner wallet of sorts that will just deploy your smart contract for you. Cool. So smart contract aside, the next thing that you kind of need to know about, because we have already a lot of like deploy scripts that are already written. You can modify also these deploy scripts to whichever contract you want to deploy, and this is pretty universal. You can this uses Ethers JS, and what it does is essentially you can either choose to like get a contract, like get a pre-existing contract, or just deploy any contract. It doesn't have to be just your collectible.sol. Could be, I don't know, like let's say like if you're doing like a Uniswap v3 clone, you can do like, I don't know, Uniswap v3 router or something. But hey, do keep in mind, you got to list everything that you used previously that are already existing. Hackathon rules. We're not breaking rules here. So yeah, pretty great. Cool beans. So yeah, and we also have a mint script that is already written for you for this specific NFT contract. You can also you can mint your NFT in whichever ways you want, but this mint script, what it does is essentially it just uploads our NFTs to IPFS while we set, like we essentially like we get a contract already that's existing, because we want to make sure that this contract is deployed before we call this like mint. So once you deploy the contract, you can just you can mint these NFTs. It'll call this IPFS.add method, which comes from the IPFS API. And it'll just add all of this really cool essentially JSON-ified NFT data to IPFS, which is really awesome. So right, that aside, let me finally sorry, after 15 minutes of Solidity and a little bit of basic JavaScript, or not basic, sorry, I don't mean to, not like, it's definitely not basic. I'm still a learner, and this is really genuinely complicated to me. But after a lot of JavaScript and a lot of Solidity, we finally get to the juicy part, which is like, how do you deploy any pre-existing dApp to Polygon, right? Like, I don't know, I guess if you're building off of something cool, like I don't know, like if you're building off of, well, Sushi's already on Polygon, so I guess not, but any other hackathon sponsor that you want to build on Polygon with, you just essentially come over. I'm building on Hardhat, so this might look a little bit different to you if you're using Truffle. But if in your hardhat.config.js, there should be a thing here called module.exports. should be the same thing in your, I think it was like migrations.js in Truffle. My memory is escaping me. Sorry, guys. But what you can do here is you essentially, this lists all of the networks that you have you are able to connect to. Well, how do you add a network, you might ask? Well, just essentially, you can feel free to copy a chunk and then paste the chunk, and then modify the network name a little bit to whatever network you want. And then replace the RPC URL with the specific network RPC URL. As you can see here down below, if we scroll down a little bit, you have essentially the same thing here on Mumbai or Polygon. So this is your RPC URL. What I like to essentially what I like to think of as kind of like the window to the blockchain, right? This essentially, what this does is you're using someone else's node services to like deploy your contracts on the blockchain. And you can also specify like what kind of, like if you want to pay like a max gas limit for deploying any of your contracts. And the accounts part is just there is a very convenient mnemonic up here, like account mnemonic written up here for you. That's just like a, this essentially just generates a burner wallet essentially that will deploy your contract for you. If you really do want to sub in your own account though, nothing's stopping you. I think you just replace the account section with your own account. The specific way on how to do that is on hard hat docs. I don't happen to remember off the top of my head, sorry. But something that actually is super cool that you can do, and you can net some free sponsor clout, is I believe Moralis provides speedy nodes, and Moralis speedy nodes are just really, really good RPCs. You get it via registering for a Moralis account, and then just pop that RPC right in here, and boom, you're ready to go. You'll be officially deploying your smart contracts with Moralis. Very cool, right? Sponsor plug. Is this Scaffold ETH though? Someone asked in the chat. Yes, it is. It is Scaffold ETH. I'm just using this just to kind of like show you just a generic example of any dApp that you might have completed in the past, or any dApp that you're building off of. Obviously, your dApp might and like do also represent like Scaffold ETH. I'm a contributor. Not no shameless plug here. Do build with Scaffold ETH, and Scaffold, it's super convenient to build with. Oh, am I? And it's fine. If I lag out, someone tell me. But yeah, steal the free speedy nodes. Yeah, use exactly. There you go. Austin's awesome. Shout out to Austin. Hey Austin, hope you're watching this. I appreciate you. But yeah, no, this is really awesome. Yeah. If you want to, right? Okay. So if you want to, I know someone also asked in the chat, like, can you deploy somehow with like a hardware wallet? I will admit I'm a filthy MetaMask user, and I don't use my hardware wallet as much, even though I should. So you'll have to kind of search up the hard hat docs for that. Sorry, my bad. But I'm sure there's some tool out there that lets you do that. Anyways, sorry, went on a slight tangent there. I'll just essentially show you that this app works. And then we can go over to some other ones that are also do specific things, and kind of like are ones that you kind of need to watch out for. And then we'll hop to one final one that's like a small call to action dApp that you can deploy very, very easily onto Polygon. Okay, cool. So we're just going to CD into basic NFTs, the folder. I already ran Yarn Chain. Yarn Chain, you should definitely boot this up first, because it boots up your like local blockchain development environment. And then what you would do next is you would do a Yarn deploy. All right. Sorry, just the elevator music's just gonna play a little here while contract deploys. There we go. Contract deployed. It says reusing just because Oh, shoot, sorry. Actually, before you do yarn deploy, you should do a yarn generate. What yarn generate does for you is it generates a yarn account. And what this yarn account is, well, as I said previously, your burner account. You can't actually deploy without a burner account because it'll tell you that you don't have enough gas. So what you do is, because we're deploying right now on Mumbai, as you can see up here in the default network Mumbai, what you would do is you kind of take this over to the faucet, and then you paste it in, confirm, get some gas, and then you pop right back onto the terminal. And then I already have some gas, but you might need to wait like literally 10 seconds. But you would, afterwards, you would run yarn deploy. And then after that, you would run a yarn mint. Yarn mint essentially would just, after you've deployed the contract, it would fire off the, it would fire off this mint item on all of your NFTs here in this mint.js. There's obviously other ways to do so, to like have a similar thing that serves the purpose of mint.js. But just kind of showing you that this works. Also, did I just accidentally? That's fine. I'm sure I didn't. It was just like a split frame kind of thing. Anyways, I was afraid that I showed my mnemonic for some reason. Anyways, so okay, cool. So after that, we would you would essentially just boot up your front end with yarn start. And then while we're on the note of front end, if you are using essentially, like any hooks, so Scaffold ETH, what's so great about Scaffold ETH and why I'm using this is to also demonstrate the fact that front end hooks also work on Polygon. Right here, so essentially what this is just a lot of front end networks. I'm sure I'm pretty sure Austin also had a workshop. He probably went over this already. If he didn't, in the front end, Scaffold ETH has a lot of hooks, both in JS and now in TypeScript. Yes, do use the TypeScript version of Scaffold ETH. It's super new, but I promise you'll have a great time doing it. Me and a few other friends are actually also using it for a new project that we're building for this specific hackathon. So definitely do check that out. Right, so the network spiel here is similar to the hardhat.config.js, where you also need an RPC URL. Some of these use Infura. I am not I don't know, I guess you totally can, but if you're gonna take something to production, you might want to just run your own node. Or run your own server of sorts, just because if you if you use Infura for extensive amounts of block queries or requests, you are going to unfortunately have to pay money. So I don't really want to do that. So I'm just going to stick with good old RPC URL faucets, block explorer, not all Infura. Sorry, Infura. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. Your services are wonderful. Anyways, so there's a little bit of that. That's super basic. And if you see here, man, I don't know why this is not showing for some reason. Oh, right, because what we're going to do is we're going to copy the front end address, and we're just gonna actually, you know what, we're just gonna make sure to run this again, just to essentially make sure that NFTs are being minted to this account instead of my other ones. Sorry, just gonna cd quickly into this folder and then yarn mint. And that should be it. So in a small while, we'll come back to this. We'll see a bunch of NFTs. If y'all want one, I'll pass you it. That's totally fine. So that's a super basic app. But next, I wanted to show off a little bit about specifically how do you use oracles, right? How do you use oracles on Polygon? And it's essentially the same thing that you would have on, let's say, Kovan or Rinkeby, right? Where you would, there you go. Oh, that's not it. Huh, what happened here? All right. But it's essentially effectively the same thing that you would have on. I think I might have pulled up the wrong folder, but it's essentially the same thing on. Essentially all of your other Ethereum test networks, where you would need to specify and let me just pull it up here. If I don't have it on my local computer, I guess no worries. I didn't expect that. I thought I've always had that set up. Just not sure why it's not there anymore. But let me just show you Oracle Scaffold. Here it is. So there's a lot of oracles, specifically also the Chainlink one right here. In this little folder here. Just gonna go to contract, Chainlink VRF sol.sol. I'm pretty sure this works for the latest version of Solidity. If it doesn't, let me know. But the most important thing for you all to take away is the fact that so most of this is copy and pasteable from just the normal Chainlink site, but just make sure that you do actually replace the link token and the VRF coordinator address for each network that you go on. If you're like a Web2 developer new to Web3, you probably wouldn't know this, but there are specific contract addresses and token addresses for each chain, unless the protocol has explicitly stated, something like Uniswap has explicitly stated, oh, okay, our contracts are literally the same address on every single chain. I have no idea how they do that, but you would essentially switch around the contract addresses for each chain, and just make sure that you have that settled before you try to implement this contract in. And when you fire up the constructor for your contracts, it's if it doesn't work, I hate for it to just be because you didn't have the right VRF coordinator or link token address. But everything else is very, very intuitive and very similar to what you would do on any other chain. So if you want to, this is essentially just a clone of Scaffold ETH that works very well on Polygon. I've made sure to essentially, I've tested this out personally. No one has found any bugs yet with this, thankfully. So I guess it works. So if you want to skip a lot of boilerplate code and you want to just get right into product iteration, do that. I've also made sure to convert the TypeScript version of Scaffold ETH into a Polygon compatible version. So a few friends and I are actively essentially working on the TypeScript version. I will say though, obviously a lot of my friends are smarter than I am, and they primarily take care of a lot of the bug fixes. But this is a pretty stable version. And this has gone through my personal testing. It is not bad from what I've tested. If you do find issues though, the issues button is right there, right next to the code button, new issue, file that immediately. I actively maintain this, so I will get to it for sure, and you can count on me. Okay, cool. So the last step that I wanted to show you is just a really, really quick crowdfunding dApp. So you have whatever super complicated crowdfunding contract here, which also inherits from Ownable, but there's a lot of other things here, such as you have events. So events just essentially help keep track of and logging all these events just help keep track of state variables and state changes throughout your the running of your contract, and various modifiers before some certain functions obviously have to be callable at specific times, and you don't want people to kind of call them if it's not the time to call them. Important for security wise, but also just for the actual functioning of your dApp. I won't go over this way too much, just for the sake of this being a beginner's workshop. But as I said earlier, this is all you need to do to change, to kind of like deploy this on Mumbai is just change this to Mumbai. But I will show you, I'm just going to show you the fact that localhost works. I'm going to reserve the pleasure of switching this to Mumbai for you. Right, I know, right? I'm so kind. Anyways, so we're gonna just hop on over to whichever folder this was, crowdfund starter. I think we are. Oh, I accidentally closed that on my yarn chain, so I'll just have to reboot up my yarn chain, and then crowdfund starter yarn start, which will boot up our front end, and then cd. I probably didn't have to cd 3 times. I could have just pressed the up arrow, but I do what I do. So we're gonna just deploy this really quickly. It was deployed, and the various artifacts like the contract address and your contract obby were all saved to this artifacts folder, which is pretty cool. Yep. So if we just hop on over here to the Brave browser, which is my default browser, I've had so many people essentially tell me like, yo, like, why are you using Opera? I'm only using Opera because like I've used Opera for like 2 years. I promise you I'm trying to migrate. Anyways, that's besides the point. But just to really quickly wrap it up, this works on the local host. I'm gonna leave it up to you to swap this on over to Polygon. I'm just gonna speed run this real quick. Gonna send myself 4 ETH support, and then this actually works. You see, both local transactions were sent. This works perfectly fine, and yeah. So it's up to you now to essentially deploy that to Polygon, which is should be pretty simple. And if you want to test if you want to actually take this to kind of like production ready levels, and I think maybe something that the judges would really like, I guess, is if you try to do some unit testing, or started to write like smart contract tests for your various contracts to make sure that like when you do deploy them, that they're completely fine, and they work. So you can write tests on Hardhat, and you can also unit test via this thing called Echidna, which is very, very useful. I am like a novice at this, but getting better. So we can all learn together on how to do this. The installation process is rather simple. You can pull it through Docker and you'll be fine. Or you can, I guess, like install install this through binary, install this like from the actual tar, like the tar ball. That's fine too. And there's even an Echidna tutorial that I'm going to link right now in the chat if you want to learn how to fuzz smart contracts to take things to production ready levels. Now, obviously, Echidna itself not enough. You got to do things like Manticore as well for like an extensive test, but that's where I'll leave it for now. I think this is a pretty good kind of place to stop. So you learned today essentially just how to deploy any single dApp out there in the universe to Polygon.